Dr. Raine, just one question as it transpires. We talked about the yellow card system and the ability of patients to make yellow card reports directly themselves. How does the MHRA make the general public aware or increase awareness amongst the general public that that system exists?
We take opportunities periodically to raise awareness. Last week was what we call Med Safety Week, and a number of communications through our website, Twitter, I think the social media will have gone out together with some, I think, quite attractive and engaging animations, just to, if you like, bring home, without having to invest a lot of time reading material, that this facility exists. And we will look carefully to see if reporting has improved after this. We do know, though, that such efforts tend to have a short-lived impact, and I think in the future it will be important that we embed reporting through activities in schools. Social and personal development, I think, has included this kind of information in the past, so that there's a sustainable understanding by members of the public that we learn all the time with medicines. Everyone has a part to play in ensuring that safety is there for everyone. So it's something to continue to press ahead with.
And do you know whether there is, for example, on any systematic basis, information in GP surgeries, for example, leaflets, posters or whatever, that might flag up to patients and the public, most of whose interactions with the health service come through their GP, that there is this process whereby they can directly report side effects or the like?
We've previously distributed leaflets, posters and so forth, found that it again has quite a short-lived impact and of course competes with other important information in GP surgeries. So I think going forward, probably to embed in learning in school and later on, almost as a fact of social responsibility, that you share the information, the experiences, particularly on new medicines. And we constantly strive to keep reporting as part of everyone's consciousness.
Okay, thank you. So that's the only additional question I had. Do you have any questions for Dr. Raine?
Well, just one, which really arises out of that exchange. When a person has a headache and pops an aspirin, they know pretty well whether it's worked or whether it hasn't, because the effect is so close to the administration of the dose. They will also know if they suffer any adverse effects on the same sort of basis, because there's an administration of a drug or a product, and there's a problem which arises pretty quickly afterwards, so that by process of the usual way that people work, they think, well, this is probably the cause of that. It may not be, but it probably is. How does the system, particularly of yellow cards, work, and how does the patient know that it works or may work with effects which are not particularly specific but are really very much delayed?
I think that's a situation where spontaneous reporting, the yellow card, will be less effective because of the challenge in attributing to a particular medicine that's been taken something that has happened much later on. It does happen, but for members of the public, less likely. Healthcare professionals have in the past provided useful information, often when they've seen a number of cases and have started to put together in their minds what the causal agent might have been. But I think for members of the public, it's that close temporal relationship that prompts reporting for most of the time.
So in such a case, it's quite likely, even with the current system of reporting, that there will have to be a body of experience which eventually somebody, a healthcare practitioner, twigs is probably or possibly due to this, and then sends that message through. If he or she does, then the possibly due to this, given the weight of experience, may be backed up by others, but it still is a possibly. Is that what you mean by a real risk?
Well, we always welcome suspicions. That's the whole nature of the scheme, that no one has to prove anything. And I think what you're describing may be when there's a body of experience, how do we capture that? And that can be through publications or a health professional contacting us in a general way, or describing something, as I say, in the literature. So that is an area that we maybe could do more on to foster, but certainly a suspicion should never be dismissed. It can be vital.
What more would you do?
I think we've been asked recently about our open door, and I think that might be something to think further about, how clinicians' general learnings can be shared with us. And I mentioned our consultation at the moment, not just about how clinicians would like to hear from us, or healthcare professionals would like to hear from us about newly identified risk, but how they would like to convey it to us. In other words, it doesn't have to be one patient, one reaction. It can be a broader concern.
Yes. I don't know if any questions arise out of that.
They don't know.
Well,
Dr. Raine, is there anything that you wish to add?
I would like to express my very sincere sympathy for the suffering that's resulted from this terrible tragedy, and offer my commitment to strengthen the regulatory system so that it works well for everyone, and that we operate in a climate of openness and transparency, putting patients' interests at the heart, to do everything to ensure that the regulator has a part to play in making sure this doesn't happen again.
Thank you, Dr. Raine. Sir.
Can I, for my part, thank you very much indeed for your evidence, in particular the clarity with which you've delivered it, answering each question, but without overdue elaboration, and in many ways being a model witness. But more than that, really, you've been here all day, I know, listening to the inquiry, which suggests to me an interest in what we have been discussing for some time, for which I am very welcome. And it also means that I apologise for you having been kept to give your evidence to the after lunch time of 2:30. But thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
So then tomorrow we are hearing from Dr. Susan Hopkins, who is the Chief Medical Advisor to the UK Health Security Agency, and then from Professor Colin Melville, Medical Director and Director of Education and Standards for the General Medical Council.
And he's in the afternoon?
He's in the afternoon, yes.
Yes. So 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. 10 o'clock.